Okay, so we have quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order, and I'd just like to say good morning. My name's Adele Imrie, and I am the chair of Toronto Community Housing Corporation Board of Directors. And today's meeting is a virtual meeting and using our WebEx platform, and we are also live streaming on YouTube. I would like to say Happy New Year to everyone, and I wish everyone all the best in 2024, and I hope everyone has had a nice holiday with friends and family. I would like to begin with an acknowledgement that the land we are on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. We also acknowledge all treaty people, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. We pay tribute to those ancestors of African origin and descent. As I mentioned, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to TCHC's first board meeting of 2024. Just days ago, December 31st, we closed the books on another year of positive transformation for the organization. And I want to thank this board, the executive leadership team, and the thousands of individuals working in our communities across Toronto. I have seen firsthand the way in which this team has lived up to our cultural model and being tenant focused in all of their work. As we head into a new year, I'm reminded that our success is a collaborative achievement made possible by the contributions of TCHC staff, TCHC tenants, community stakeholders, and my fellow board members. And I'm grateful to all of you for your support and your commitment to this organization and our shared mission, building our momentum for a strong start to the new year. And I hope great success for TCHC in 2024 and years to come. I would like to speak to very strong starts to the year, and I'm sure that many of you will have received word that one of our members of our board of directors, Debbie Douglas, was appointed a member of the Order of Canada on December 28, 2023. This is a richly deserved honor, as Debbie has devoted her life, both personally and professionally, to advancing principles of equity and inclusion in the Canadian immigration system as a leading policy expert and community activist. TCHC benefits from her incredible expertise, and I know, speaking on behalf of all board members, when I say that it is an honor to serve on the TCHC board with Debbie. And I know everyone associated with TCHC is grateful for all Debbie has done and will continue to do for Canada, making it a better home for all Canadians. Unfortunately, Debbie is unable to attend today's meeting. However, I just want to assure the board members, TCHC staff, and anyone else who's listening today that we will recognize this incredible honor that has been bestowed on a fellow board member at our meeting on February the 15th. So I'm looking forward to that. I'd also like to take the opportunity to welcome a new board member, Councillor Parthy Kendavel, to his first public meeting as a board member. Councillor serves in Ward 20. In addition to being on our board of directors, is also a member of the city's Planning and Housing Committee and chair of the City School Board's Advisory Committee. And prior to Councillor Kendavel's election to City Council, he served as a member of the Toronto District School Board and as a teacher. And I welcome him to the board, and I would like to thank you very much for your commitment to TCHC, and we look forward to working with you. We will have, in our public session today, we will receive a presentation from Tom Hunter and from Lily Chen, our CFO, on TCHC's 2024 capital and operating budgets. And before I conclude my opening remarks, I would like to make a special mention of the various teams at TCHC who have worked with staff at the City of Toronto in support of the preparation of this year's budget. At TCHC, we are responsible for an invaluable public asset and one that will be even more crucial to the continued vitality and growth of our city in the coming years. That is what makes this year's budget, with its projections through 2026, so important. I know a significant amount of time has gone into this work, as there have been many iterations of this budget over the past few months, and I am grateful to the work that has been done. And I would like to thank everyone who has been involved in this budget. And I would especially like to recognize Lily for leading this work and for her close collaboration with the city. We certainly appreciate the city's indication of support for TCHC's budget. And Tom has indicated that the city is very appreciative of TCHC's transparency in reporting to the city and the detailed work that has gone into this budget. It's very important to set TCHC up, as well as our communities, for success in the future. Before I close, I would like to recognize Paula Knight, as this is her last board meeting. And on behalf of the board, I would like to thank Paula for her incredible contribution and commitment to TCHC and our tenants as our VP Strategic Planning and Communications. Paula has been a strong supporter of the board and made a large contribution to the board as well as TCHC, and certainly the board will miss you, Paula. And we would like to thank you very much for ensuring that you're leaving TCHC in a much better position with all its stakeholders than when you started. And I think that that's certainly a measure of someone's contribution to their work. TCHC has benefited from your expertise, and I want to congratulate you on your appointment as President and CEO of Immigrant Services Association of Nova Scotia. They are extremely fortunate to have you and your leadership, and I know you're going to love the East Coast. It's a beautiful place to live, I imagine. And we certainly wish you all the best. And I know that Tom has a few words that he'd like to share on behalf of TCHC staff. So I'm going to turn it over to Tom.
Yes, through the chair and to you, Paula, and the board. I just want to kind of, I guess, continue to build on what Chair Imrie was saying about Paula. But I think there's a softer side to all of this. When we sent out the communications, everybody could read about what her accomplishments were and kind of her skills and what knowledge she brought to Toronto community housing through her time working here, and certainly what she's going to take, into her new role. And Paul, it's time for you to be a CEO. It's a good move for you. You have all those skills and competencies, but I do want to identify just a level that Paul is somebody who builds people up. From what I've seen, and it's just not her staff, it's the tenants, who she had a real kind of focus on what are the strengths with the people I work with, who do I bring to my team to really help build and really kind of support both the individual, and her team. And that was so evident with the people who work with you, Paula, and you brought into the organization to really make those improvements. You're a real individual with heart. You have been very invested in this organization over the time that you've been here. And it's just been incredible for me to see just how kind of respectful you are in the work with your tenants and with the staff. And you believe in housing. Housing is a right. And I think that has really guided you through your work here. And I know that you will also kind of take those beliefs with you into your new role and think into an area that is much needed around housing is in immigration. They're intrinsically linked, and now you will be able to build those skills to that role as well. And I just, at a personal note, it was pretty fabulous for me to come into this very large organization and to receive, the compassion from you and the attention and the focus that I personally asked for in the help around this interim role. So I want to thank you for that as well. But just in closing, from the staff, and I think from the tenants here at Toronto Community Housing, thank you for your work, and certainly all the best in the future, and all great success. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We'll miss you, Paula.
Thank you. I'll be watching the board meetings.
I'm sure you're going to
Me
have more
too.
important things. But enjoy the East Coast.
Thank you so much.
So thank you, and that concludes my opening remarks. And as we do every meeting, the members of the public have the option to either submit a written deputation, which is distributed to the board prior to the meeting, or they can participate in this board meeting via WebEx. And we do have a deputant today. And I will ask, as we move on to the agenda, if there are any additions to the agenda. It's a special board meeting, so we only have one item, but could I ask if there are any additions to today's agenda? Okay, hearing none, can I ask if there are any conflicts of interest as it relates to any items on the agenda today? Okay, hearing none, could I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? I'm going to ask you, Joe. Thank you. Parthy, I'm going to ask you to second.
Happy to.
All in favor? Thank you. And as I mentioned, this is a special board meeting, and we will be dealing with the 2024 capital and operating budgets. And it has been held for presentation. We do have a deputant. And so as we move on to item number 2 or item number 3, I will turn this over to our deputant, Catherine.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so Happy New Year. I do also want to welcome our new councillor, Parthy Kendavel, and welcome back Councillor Peruzza, who I've worked with in the past. And just by way of introduction, most of you know, I served on this board as a tenant director for 10 years. My term ended in 2018, but I continue to come back and collaborate sometimes with management or challenge them, and to advocate for transparency and accountability. So I'm a familiar face you might see at board meetings. And I do want to say to Paula Knight, you rock, and we'll miss you. Okay, so it's not a surprise there's not a lot of tenants disputing at today's meeting, because the budget to them is not really well understood. Clearly a lot of thought went into preparing it, but from a tenant's perspective, they can't really see where tenant services and programs fit within the operating budget, because they're not readily identifiable or discussed. So this year, I want to touch on a couple of things. We're reviewing the pest management strategy, and looking at the budget, the forecast is about the same amount for on-demand pest management request. However, this will likely increase, as will associated costs. And if it does not, we're doing something wrong. This is also the year that phase 3 of the air conditioner exchange program is scheduled to roll out. It warrants further discussion at the Tenant Services Committee to update the board on changes made by the province last year under Bill 97 under the Housing Services Act, which revised regulations permitting use of window ACs in Ontario with specific guidelines and how that impacts Toronto community housing. And while the city is implementing tailored services to the 15,000 seniors in those 83 buildings, Hopefully, there's future consideration to ensure that such equitable services will also be provided to the 18,000 seniors living in the family buildings as well. Words matter. It's a bit of a stretch to suggest that seniors living in the Toronto seniors buildings are a more stable group of tenants, as they primarily receive government pensions, resulting in lower levels of arrears. If that statement is true, then it would also apply to seniors living in Toronto Community Housing buildings. The Ernst & Young report highlights opportunities for a more sustainable future, identifying challenges and potential solutions, many of which will require shareholder approval. Creation of a nonprofit social housing foundation as a registered charity to provide vital programs would alleviate much of the financial burden on Toronto Community Housing it faces and free up funding for more capital repairs. Think of how much it has cost this corporation to pursue tenant arrears that have spiraled out of control for years, the majority of which we know will never be recovered. This cloud has hung over this corporation for far too long. It's time to have that difficult conversation with the city and create a realistic path forward. Work with the city to pursue Toronto Community Housing exemption from purchasing natural gas from Housing Services Corporation. This is long overdue. Many of the Ernst & Young's findings are actually not new and have been presented to previous boards. For a variety of reasons, they did not get traction. So here's hoping history does not repeat itself. And I want to close by saying choose CEO number 10 wisely, because they will have their work cut out for them. Thank you very much.
Are there any comments? We appreciate your time, Catherine. Okay, so we will move on to the budget presentation. And as Catherine alluded to, the EY presentation is an attachment to this budget. I just wanted to notify the board that, given the significant scope of the EY presentation and its long-term impact on TCHC, there will be a more fulsome presentation at our February board meeting, as it will relate to other items on our February agenda. So there will be additional discussion on this report. So Lily, I'm going to turn it over to you and Tom.
Great. Through the chair, thank you so much. And I'll start, and then Lily will, as we have tag teamed in so many of the budget presentations, Lily will get into the more of the numbers and the technical elements of the budget. But I will be, in my comments, I will be referring to the written report that individuals have received or is on the website. And within the report, you can see that it starts with the recommendations, as outlined under 1, 2, and 3. And on the second page of the report, I would just like to highlight how this work is being driven. I do believe that it is very significant around preserving and maintaining the services and service levels for tenants. And as much as we would like to have seen service enhancements in 2024 based on the budget pressures, we are looking at preserving and maintaining those service levels. And there was very few new or enhanced services, just as I mentioned, and this was really a directive from the city. But what Lily does highlight in her part is that there are a couple of positions, new positions, to serve what were kind of council directed activities. And then a key focus is for us that with the recommendations is identifying opportunities for internal efficiencies and cost savings. And so there will be very continued focus work in 2024 on those areas of effectiveness and efficiency. And Chair Emery addressed the EY financial plan, and that will help to guide many of those activities. They pointed out what are the opportunities, both immediately, medium, and long term, for a more stable financial plan and strategy. And I just want to take one minute to quickly identify aspects around EY. I know you'll be hearing it more, as the chair indicated, in February. But for those even board members with it's new, just they reference that Toronto Community Housing engaged Ernst & Young in this financial plan, which was completed in July of 2023. And really there was 4 key elements of this plan. It was the to assess TCHC's recent financial performance, operating and capital, provide a financial forecast for the next 10 years, identify opportunities for cost savings, which I mentioned, and establish options for a path, and really this path to a sustainable future. And so it was a 10-year look. And it's also important to identify that this work with EY and TCHC also dovetailed with the financial work that the city was doing. And this speaks to the very close work around the development of this budget with the city and Toronto Community Housing to ensure that we are aligned with the actions of the larger financial strategy of the city. And I just would like to close on those EY comments to say, as I initially have said, that they really a lot of their actions help to inform our 2024 budget and will help to inform our work around efficiencies and effectiveness in the future. And so that's just wanted to just a little bit of information, but certainly you can hear more about it at the February meeting. And then another important point around this budget is it is a consolidated budget with the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation. And the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation is having their budget meeting at the same time today as us. So truly consolidated these two processes. The timing worked out pretty perfect for today. But we, as we move towards the 2025 budget, we should expect to see those separated. And then the report talks about there's 3 really priority areas, and in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through those, but it does stress the first one is to support the rights of every tenant to have reasonable enjoyment, a well-maintained unit, supporting our frontline leadership, and with both staff and tenants, supporting them in the challenges and opportunities that we have. The second point around a priority is with the staff. We want to build a high performance team to really kind of ensure continued success for the organization. And then the other priority area, as clearly as we move towards the end of 2023, was the mayor's kind of initiative and working now on 65,000 rent controlled units for Toronto. So that certainly will be a focus. In the report, you will see detail around the operating plan, the budget renewal, the budget for the building renewal capital, development capital, and the ITS and corporate budget. And Lily will cover those off, quickly cover those off in her presentation. And in closing, a key area for us in 2024 is going to be working with the city around a revised kind of financial subsidy model for Toronto Community Housing. And so we certainly look forward to that work as well. And also just my closing, just wanting to once again thank Chair Imrie started by thanking the individuals involved in this process, but certainly Lily and her team, the executive leadership team, and the various divisions, the incredible focus on this work. And then we did have through this process a really strong working relationship with Toronto seniors and the city. So Lily, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Tom, and thanks Chair Marie. Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. So as Tom alluded earlier, so I'm providing you with the 2024 budget at a glance. So this budget is informed by the work done with EY, and then is supported by the City Finance Housing Secretary together with Toronto Seniors Corporation. It's definitely impacted by the reality of a controllable cost and also year-over-year one-time pressures. Is intentionally aimed to provide consistent tenants services and support, and also the community wellness and well-being of our tenants and neighborhood. This budget also set the efficiency roadmap beyond 2024 for both organizations basing on the EY financial sustainability recommendation. Truly to recalibrate the resources to align with the priority area of the business, which are our tenants and our our building maintenance. In terms of the 2024 budget highlights, we're showing you a comparison between the 24 and also 2023 approved budget. On a high level, the total budget is around 1.2 billion, with the operating budget accounting for $215 million. Building repair capital of 332 million, development capital of 135 million in 2024, as well as $8.6 million of IT and corporate capital. On a consolidated basis between TCHC and Toronto Seniors Corporation, our 2024 budget, despite all the challenges of cost escalations and inflationary pressure, our budget with the city investment through the one-time subsidy, as well as the base funding increase. The budget are balanced at $779 million. In terms of the approved positions in 2024, will be around 2,653 positions compared to the 2023 budget of 2,649. In this year, we also provide 3-year outlook submission to the city, which is very much in line with other city agencies and corporation. In 2025, our outlook will be around $43 million in net shortfall, assuming the consistent base funding subsidy level from the city. In 2026, around the $72 million. I do want to highlight as well, in terms of the planning assumption, we are also very much following the city's economic factor, as well as the TCHC unique union collective agreements requirements and why not. On the 10-year basis for our capital plan for building repair, we have around 2.2 billion investment, development capital 1.09 billion, and for IT and corporate capital in 2024 alone, the city is considering approving $8.6 million to fund critical and the essential IT and corporate capital project and initiatives. In terms of operating budget overview by services, once again, it's a really highlight on sustaining the current service levels for our tenant services and support and community safeguarding for our tenants. So we also highlight about $2 million for Swansea Mills we set aside for the carrying cost of that site. In terms of where the money comes and also where the money goes, here shows you the breakdown. I do want to highlight once again, on the operating budget basis, like it's 36% of our budget, equating to 271 million, will be focusing on the frontline operations for our tenants support and service, and back office it's only around 12%. And for some of those fixed cost components, such as mortgages and property taxes and utility, is amounting to about 43% in total. Here is the key cost drivers as well. So majority of our key cost drivers on a year-over-year basis and non-discretionary on the base pressure. We do have a small investment in 2024 in consultation with the city to fund some of the EY project and implementation, as well as our tenant services on human rights complaints. Here we're showing the 3-year rolling plan with the 25 and 26 outlook. Once again, it's going to be focusing on some of the work identified by EY in terms of achieving the efficiencies through the internal external work. For example, like the natural gas price negotiation with HC as identified by EY, and also as mentioned by Ms. Wilkinson in her deputation. Here's a breakdown of the IT and corporate capital budget on the critical, both keeping the lights on and also critical project for either the in-year or the continuation of the prior year work to truly position TCHC as a data-driven and also a data-driven and KPI focused organization. On the 10-year capital project and the plan. Here we're showing the funded portion for our 3 major capital project streams: building repair capital, development capital, also IT and corporate. It will also indicate the funding contribution, especially the city investment and also the federal government investment into our SOGR repair and collaboration with the city on our development capital project rollout as well. Here's the program funding breakdown, as well as the use of funds. On SOGR funding and backlog, here we're showing you the 11-year worth of view. TCHC team has been working very diligently on maintaining asset value up to date, as well as working very closely with both the federal partners and our city to work on our SOGR capital repair program, as well as the FCI index. In here is indicated as backlog as percentage of asset value. Once again, this slide is showing the breakdown. This is just only for the 2024 capital budget. 70% of our funding will go towards our building repairs. 28% goes towards our development capital in generating those RGI units replacement and some potential affordable housing new units as well. This is the TCHC revitalization program in terms of the stats. On the project basis, for the 10 years, the completion is going to be like roughly 5,600 units. And this is the breakdown showing the development capital in terms of the funding, whether it's equity contribution, the grants, loans, and the city investment of $30 million in 2024, and then a land sale, the profits from our agreement. And that's the end of the presentation.
Can I ask if there are any questions for Lily as it relates to the 2024 capital and operating budgets? I can't see everyone, so please, if you have a questions. Oh, now I can. Brian?
Maybe, I'm not sure, Lily or whoever can answer, just in terms of the, I think tenants would be interested in looking at the increase in staffing from last year and where that will be. I think there's about 118, if I read that correctly, difference between the current year and this year. It may be positions that are being held, you know, because they're in transition, I'm not sure, or are they new positions?
Through the chair, thanks Director Smith for that question. I can start and probably my colleague, Ms. Ubaya can add. So the 114 positions is essentially between the 2023 project year and the position and the 2024 approved budget. Those are the positions. It's like vacant at the point in time. It could be held for meeting the gapping target. It could be just under recruitment. And in terms of the percentage of the front line, I would say probably 70% is frontline folks, the positions. The rest is it's a corporate positions. In terms of natural attrition, our staff turnover in 2023 has improved substantially from 2022. So in 2023, the average staff attrition is around 5.22%. I'm not sure, Nadia, if I have anything else to add.
I just wanted to clarify, so through the chair, we're not adding additional positions to operations in the 2024 budget. We've kept fairly close to flat, but what we wanted to ensure is that we maintain the level of frontline positions to support the tenants. And so you won't see reductions to our frontline service delivery. What you'll see is we made some switches on the back end to ensure that we had maximum coverage and support to the frontline staff. So those 118 positions aren't necessarily additional positions, to Lily's point. At any given point, there's attrition and vacancies in the corporation, but year over year, operations hasn't added staff in the 2024 budget.
Thank you. I just thought it's important to highlight that for the tenants who are watching.
Are there any other questions for Lily or team as it relates to the budget? Lily, can I just ask a quick question? You've identified the FCI at the end of 2027 as 12.4%. I just wanted to point out that in the EY report, it's bullet number 26. I don't know what page it's on, but that indicates that a 10% FCI is a condition of the CMHC financing. I know that we've discussed this, and my understanding is that that's a misstatement in the EY report, that it's not actually a criteria of our CMHC financing. Can you confirm that? I just want to make sure that that's not at risk, given that.
Chair Marie, yes, I can confirm that. I actually went back to the funding criteria of the CMHC co-investment capital repairs contribution agreement. So essentially, as FCI is not a condition of the funding nor the no interest loan. The conditional criteria for the funding, however, are either there are a couple. It's affordability, energy efficiency, accessibility, and also a demographic. In this case, is some of the units will have to be attributed to the women and children in that contribution agreement we've signed with CMHC back in 2017.
And my understanding is that we're meeting all of those criteria. So the CMHC financing, there's no risk to TCHC.
There's no risk at this point based on the program delivery.
Okay. I don't know if it's possible to have the EY, that bullet corrected.
Good point. It's a good point.
Only because it does imply that there's a risk to TCHC. Are there any other questions as it relates to the budget? Okay, seeing none, could I have a motion to approve the 2024 capital and operating budget? Marcel, Parthy, seconder, thank you very much. All in favor? I can't see everybody, so are there any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion has passed. And again, Lily, Tom, and everyone involved, I know that's countless people involved in the preparation of the budget. So I would like to thank you very much for all your hard work to get this across the finish line. And again, I would like to thank the city for their indication of support for TCHC. It's greatly appreciated, and I know that the tenants appreciate it as well. So thank you very much. And could I ask if there are any other items to come before the public session of TCHC's board meeting? Okay, hearing none, could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Marcel, very quick on that one. Anthony, thank you for seconding. All in favor? Thank you very much for taking the time for this special board meeting. I really appreciate it.